Hello, it's Lesley Fightmaster, and this is a prenatal yoga video. So hello, mamas. We're going to start just sitting up in a comfortable position. And always remember that this is your time to really take extra good care of yourself. So bring your hands together, take a moment to set an intention for your practice. So we're going to start with a nice kind of relaxing pose called Supta Baddha Konasana, one of my favorites. So get some blankets and some pillows and push pause if you need to. If you have a yoga strap, get a strap. If you have blocks, get blocks, 2 of them. If you don't have blocks, get 2 extra pillows. So we'll set this up with the bolster or blankets going lengthwise on the mat, and then we'll sit right in front of it. If you have a strap, you'll put it over top of you and then move it down to the very low back. Take the soles of your feet together and wrap the strap underneath your feet. So it's at the low back, it goes above the thighs and then under the feet. Then the blocks, or if you have pillows, we'll put those underneath the outer thighs. And then if you do have the strap, and you lie back, you can tighten the strap to make it a little more of a stretch or make it looser. And then once you lie down, it should feel really good. Just make sure if you do have the strap that you have it at the low back, and you can take your hands right on your belly. You can even start to make little massage motions, bringing the hands right to the center of the belly and then little circles around. A lot of times when you lie down, is if you're in your second trimester or later, a lot of times that's when baby really starts to move. The baby starts to move when you relax. So allow yourself to relax and connect in with your breath and with your baby. And as you're resting here, a lot of people ask me about what kinds of poses they can do or can't do during pregnancy. So I'm going to go over a couple of things. You have this hormone called relaxin being secreted in your body during pregnancy, and it gets the body ready for delivery. So it actually helps to soften the connective tissue in the body, so it's much easier to stretch. So you have to be careful, no matter what you're doing, that you keep your stretching to a minimal. So if you lie back and you find that you're not elevated enough, maybe you're in your 3rd trimester, you want to make sure you're elevated enough. You don't want to lie flat on your back. So you could always prop up a little bit higher so that your head is above your heart. So make sure as you're moving through poses today and any other time that you're not going so deep into the poses. Only go as deeply as you would normally when you weren't pregnant. Also, you'll want to stand with your feet hips distance apart. So when you fold forward, you have room for your belly. Same with sitting. When you're sitting, you'll have your feet hips width or maybe even a little bit wider. So when you fold forward, there's room. When there's any twisting coming into the yoga practice, you'll want to twist the opposite direction so that you have an open twist rather than a compressive twist. So I'll show you an open twist shortly, but think about if you were going to do a prayer twist in crescent pose, instead of with your right leg in front, instead of taking your left arm across to twist, you would take your right arm and the inside of the right leg and twist the other direction. And then that way you're still twisting, which is nice for your spine, but you're keeping yourself safe and room for baby. So let's take the knees together and just taking a moment, a couple of breaths here, lying down with the knees together. And then carefully roll off of your bolster onto your left side. So when you're pregnant, you want to roll onto the left side because that gives the most room for baby, and also the blood flow is the best. And we'll press ourselves up to seated, and then you can move your blankets and pillows off to the side. Move your strap off to the side. If you have yoga blocks, though, we'll keep those kind of handy. We'll use those again. And then we'll sit in Upavista Konasana. So sitting up nice and tall. And if it seems like sitting up tall is not working very well, then grab your blanket or a pillow and sit right on the edge of it to lengthen up through the spine. And then point your toes and your knees up toward the ceiling. And we'll sit up tall here. And this is a great pose to practice during pregnancy, as long as you make sure that you're not going too deeply into the stretch. Now bring the hands in front a little bit, maybe leaning forward slightly, maybe not. Right hand behind, keep the left hand in front, and then turn and look to the right side. So this is an open twist. I'm twisting my spine, but yet I still have plenty of room for the belly. These are fine. Come back to center, the right hand in front, left hand behind. Inhale, sit up tall, and exhale, turn to look over the left shoulder and twist. Toes and knees stay pointed up to the ceiling. And then back to center. And we'll take the legs together. And if you have blocks, put them by the front of your mat. We'll come into table with the knees under the hips, the wrists under the shoulders. If you have a blanket and you want to pad up your knees, grab that. And we'll move through cat-cow. So in the inhale, bring the chest forward, lift the chin and tailbone. As you exhale, round your back and bring your chin in toward your chest. And you don't have to pull the belly in. Inhale, come forward, broaden across the collarbones, but make sure you're not dumping right into the lower back. Exhale and round your back, chin toward the chest. And then again, inhale to come forward. So if you bring your chest forward and think about the back bend more in the upper back, less in the lower back, that's better for your low back. Exhale and round your back, chin toward chest. And again, inhale forward, lifting the chin, slightly lift up through the tailbone. And then exhale, slightly tuck the tailbone, chin toward chest. And then come to neutral. We're going to take the hips back to the heels. Keep your legs wide. You can rest your head on the floor, but if that's not comfortable, make fists with your hands and rest your head on your hands. So this particular class is good for any part of your pregnancy, but again, listen to your body. Don't do anything that's too much for you. So on the hands and knees, you'll walk the hands over to the left a little and step your right foot forward and bring your hands onto your block as you sink the hips forward. Pull the right hip back and down. You are welcome to put your hands on the floor if you want to, but this is more like a low lunge. So we have the hands on the inside of the right foot instead of on either side of the foot, because hands on either side of the foot, there's not usually room for the belly. And then with both blocks, hands on both blocks, then we'll straighten the front leg. Take an inhale to lengthen. As you exhale, you fold forward maybe just a little bit, any amount. And you can have the hands on the inside of the foot again, the big toe side, so that you have room for your belly. And then rebend that knee, come back into table. Walk the blocks over toward the right side of the mat, and we'll step the left foot up all the way by the left hand. If you can't get it up there, just pick it up and put it forward. Hands on the inside of the left foot as you sink forward, and as you sink the hips forward, make sure that your knee doesn't go past your ankle. And then start to pull the left hip back, sending the right hip forward, and keep length through the spine. And as always, steady breath. So you can breathe in and out through the nose, but if you get too warm, start to breathe through the mouth instead. And then straightening the left leg, take an inhale to lengthen. Exhale, start to fold any amount over the straight left leg. Still pulling the left hip back and drawing the right hip in towards center. And then bending the knee back into table. Let's take the right foot forward again and sinking forward once again. Again, pulling the right hip back, left hip forward. And maybe this time if you wish to, you can go a little bit deeper. And just repeating it one more time so that we can stretch out through especially the left hip flexor. And then fold forward over the right leg again, stretching out the hamstrings. And then we'll come back into table, walk the hands over the right, and once more step the left foot forward. Making sure again, knee over ankle. And breathing here. And lift the chest. And keep length in the back. So the lower back when you're pregnant, especially as your belly gets bigger, the lower back really wants to arch a lot. So we're going to try as best you can to keep lengthening through the lower back. So lengthening through the tailbone. Straightening the left leg now, fold forward. Pulling the left hip back as you do. And then rebend that knee. And we'll take it back into table. And then move the blocks off to the side. I have one toward the front, one toward the back. You can do that now or later. Make your way back into child's pose for a moment. Then we'll come to the knees, tuck the toes, and come into downward facing dog. Arms shoulder distance, feet hips width. If down dog is too much, if you're in your third trimester, you might not be very comfortable in this pose. And if that's the case, stay with child's pose. Otherwise, down dog. And then let's come back into child's pose again. Let your head rest on your hands, hips toward heels. And then reaching the arms forward. Tuck the toes again into downward facing dog or stay with child's pose. Do what feels best for you. Try to move the weight up to the hips, down toward the heels, and then start to walk your hands and your feet toward each other. And if your blanket's on your mat, you can move it off to the side. We won't need it for now. Bring hands to hips, little bend in the knees, come up with a long spine. And then we'll walk all the way to the front of the mat with your feet hips distance apart or even a little bit wider if that feels better. On your inhale, reach your arms up in line with the ears. Face your palms toward each other. Spin the triceps forward, but try not to let your lower back arch. Fold forward with a long spine on your exhale. Inhale halfway up, lengthen the spine, keep the length. Exhale, fold, bend the knees as you need to. And then inhale, press through the feet. Come all the way up with a long spine, stretching. Arms by the ears, watch that low back. Don't let it do that. Don't let it overarch. Tailbone toward heels, pull the front ribs in. And exhale, hands to heart. And just standing for a moment. Again, you're probably, as you get bigger, you're going to want to stick your bunsies out, but keep reaching tailbone to heels to keep that length. Inhale again, sweep the arms up. Pausing here at the top and then exhale to fold. Crown of the head reaching down, hips over heels if you can straighten the legs. Inhale halfway up, lengthen. And then exhale to fold again. Press down through the feet, come all the way up, long spine, sweep the arms up. And then exhale, Samasthiti. I'm going to do some standing poses against a wall. So if you have a wall handy, come up against the wall with your back up against the wall. Line up your front heel and your back arch, and then bend your right knee over the ankle. So just a warrior two pose, gazing over the fingertips. So always remember, you can always push pause if you need to get anything or if you need to find a good wall. Inhale, straighten the right leg, arms up. Exhale, bend the right knee over the ankle, gaze over the fingertips. Lift your chest, soften your shoulder blades. And again, inhale, reach up. Exhale, bend the knee. So your front hip should be against the wall if you're at the wall, and that helps to lengthen the lower back. Inhale, straighten the leg, arms up. And second side. Bend the left knee over the ankle. Heel to arch alignment as you bend the knee. Gaze over the fingertips. And then inhale, straighten the left leg, reach up. And exhale, bend the knee again over the ankle. And that front hip is reaching down toward the floor. Inhale, reach up and lengthen. And then exhale, bend the knee over the ankle. Inhale, straighten the leg. And then take your feet hips width apart and just stand right up against a wall. So if you have a wall, get up against it so you can lengthen your tailbone toward the heels and then reach your arms up so you can feel what it feels like to keep your hips from sticking back, keeping the lower back from overarching. So now I'm going to take my mat all the way up against the wall the long way. It's just a little bit easier. And one block toward the front of the mat, one block toward the back. I'm going to do Trikonasana, triangle pose up against the wall. And this is actually good for anybody, pregnant or not. This is a great one. So turn your right leg all the way out and line up the front heel with the back arch. You can put the block right behind your front ankle, but put your left heel, your back heel up against the wall. Shift your hips back, lean forward. Right hand to the block, left arm up, or you can put your right hand on your shin. And then notice how the front hip is up against the wall. It makes that hip move right over or right underneath you. And then your torso is leaned right up against the wall. So your torso is right above that front thigh. So if you're used to doing this in the middle of the room, you might not go as far, and that's good. Inhale, come up to center. We'll do the other side. So left leg all the way out, back toes in, heel to arch alignment. So the back heel is against the wall. And again, shift your hips back and lean forward, get some length. Left hand to the shin or the block, right arm up. And with that front hip underneath you, a lot of times there's a tendency to lean forward in front of the front thigh. So now you're just right above it, which is where we want it to be. And then looking down to come up on your inhale. We're going to do triangle pose one more time and add half moon pose against the wall, which is another one of my favorites. So taking the arms up, make sure you're still heel to arch. Shift your hips back and lean forward. Back into triangle pose first. And then take your left hand to your hip, look down, bring the block forward about 12 inches or so, and then float the back leg up. So your back is up against the wall's completely supporting you. And that front hip is still being drawn underneath the torso. If your neck's okay with it, look up at your left hand. Then reach through the back leg, and you're reaching the tailbone toward the heel. Left hand to hip, slowly bend the knee. We'll slide right back to triangle pose. And then look down at the foot. And come on up. Second side, left leg all the way out so your front heel's in line with the back arch. Back heel's up against the wall. Triangle pose first. Getting lots of length through the spine. And looking down, take a little bend in the left knee and float the back leg up. We could also keep that right hand at the hip like we did on the first side. And I feel like kind of like a starfish. Stretching through all parts of the body, crown of the head one way, foot the other way, bottom hand down, top hand up. Look down and slowly back to triangle pose. It's a little tricky transition. Do the best you can. You don't have to land in triangle. And then inhale to come up. So grab your strap, or if you don't have a strap, get something, a belt or a towel. This is Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. We're going to do it with the hand against the wall. Right foot first, right foot in the strap, left foot down. And then, so we'll get that right leg up any amount. You don't have to straighten the leg all the way. It doesn't matter. Do the best you can. We'll keep your left hand on the wall so that you're steady. Drop the outer right hip down and draw the left hip in towards center. And just extending the leg out. You can also wrap the strap around your hand. Now we'll open to the right. Looking over the left shoulder. Inhale the leg to center. And hold it up. And then slowly release. This particular pose is good for sciatica, that pain that sometimes goes down the back of your leg when you're pregnant. So strap on the left side. Extend the left leg out any amount, doesn't have to be straight. Right hand's holding the wall for stability. Try and drop the outer left hip down as you pin the right hip in. Exhale, open the leg to the right. Maybe look over the left shoulder. And then back to center. Hold for a moment. And then slowly release it. We'll put the strap off to the side. To the front of the mat, feet hips width. Inhale, reach up through the arms. And exhale to fold. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, come back into table position. So stepping back with the knees down. Inhale, hard forward, lift the chin and tailbone up. Exhale, round the back. And take the hips to the heels. Or you could go into downward facing dog. So this could be a modified sun salutation. And then come on back up. Shift your hips off to one side so you can extend the legs in front of you. So we're coming to seated. And grab your blanket to sit up on the edge of it if you want some length in your spine. And extend the legs in front of you. Grab your strap if you'd like that for a little more length also around your feet. Inhale, sit up nice and tall. And as you exhale, hinge from the hips forward any amount, Paschimottanasana. Don't worry about going in deep, but try and keep your spine nice and long. So leading with the chest. The legs are wide so you have room for the belly. And just breathe here. Focus again on your comfortable inhales and exhales. Inhale, head up and release on the exhale. Soles of feet together, knees apart, Baddha Konasana. Sit up tall. And fold forward or not. Again, keeping that length in the spine. Inhale, head up, and exhale to release. And we'll slide that blanket again off to the side for a moment. Get a blanket or a pillow and put it between your inner thighs. Take another blanket or another pillow to put underneath your head. I'm lying on my left side, so when you're pregnant, lie on your left side is better for circulation. And this is our Shavasana. So relaxing here. And I'll be back in a minute or so with a nice quote. And as you're lying here, you might feel your baby moving. Because again, baby likes to move when we're quieter. So feel free to take a hand on your belly, a little belly massage. Here's a quote from Laurelyn Curtis. Every birth is a natural birth. Each of us is part of nature, not separate from it, and nature is always stunning in its variety. Your birth, then, is part of the natural world, however it unfolds. Start to make some movements in your fingers and your toes. A little stretch. And then carefully press yourself up to seated. Sit up nice and tall. Sit on the edge of your blanket if you wish. Hands to heart center. Hands to the forehead to remind us to have clear and loving thoughts. Hands to the heart, reminding us to have clear and loving intentions. And hands to the mouth, reminding us to have clear and loving communications, sending out this wonderful energy to all beings everywhere. Namaste. So if you're folding forward, you don't have to go very far. Thank you so much for joining us today, mommies with your lovely babies. If you liked our class, please push the like button and subscribe to our channel. If you are able to support Fightmaster Yoga on our mission, which is to provide as much yoga as possible to as many people around the world for free, there is a link below for a donation. And go to fightmasteryoga.com. Bye.